year. Welcome, everyone. We are here on this glorious day. It's Friday. Yes, it is. And the moon is bright in the kitchen window again. And those stars, glorious stars, I say. But don't let me keep you. There seems to be some kind of confusion when it comes to when Neville Goddard says, and the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You see, a lot of people think he's talking about feeling as in emotion. But you have to understand what he's saying because it is in one of his lectures that we've read many times. It's not a feeling as in an emotion. It is the feeling as in the knowing. Now, here's how you put that together. When you think about something, let's start at the root, shall we? The mood. When you are in a mood, the mood tells you what you believe to be true, period. Which is the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It might not be the wish fulfilled that you want, but it is the feeling of the wish fulfilled nonetheless, which means the effect of that mood is the feeling. This is why Neville says you don't have to force things. You just get in the right mood. But we don't tend to get into a mood. We tend to tell ourselves, I really want this thing. I really need this thing. If I don't get it, then my life, blah, blah, blah. Oh, hold up, wait a minute. That's a feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is what you quote unquote know to be true, that you believe in. I want this thing. There's a feeling that comes with that. There's a feeling. And that feeling is telling you what you hold to be true. And what you hold to be true is what you express. So you see, we try to force a feeling. You never have to force a feeling. Because like I keep telling you, if I say your mother's name, or if I say your father's name, if I say your stepmother's name, your stepfather's name, your auntie's name, you will get a feeling. If I say your granny's name or your grandpappy's name, you will get a feeling. If I say Donald Trump, you will get a feeling. That is the feeling of the wish fulfilled. That is telling you right there what you hold to be true. Not that it is fact, but it is what you hold to be true. The feeling always accompanies what you feel to be true. This is why you never have to force a feeling. That's why this morning is called When I Get That Feeling. You know the rest of the song. Well, he's trying to tell you that feeling that he gets manifests in a particular way. So he doesn't have to force. He just gets into the mood, and the feeling will confirm for him if he is in the right mood. So you see, you can't get into the mood of money. You can't get into the mood of companionship, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. You can't get into that mood because it has no mood attached. It's a word. That's why the feeling of frustration is there when you say to become the thing you want to be. You know, how am I supposed to become that? Because you keep thinking of a word. But it's not the word that drives us, it's the mood. And you will always confirm your mood by the feeling. So then Neville says to get into the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You're not trying to convince yourself of anything. Get into the mood. Nobody has to tell you to get into the mood of broke. Oh, hell no. We already know what that feels like, some of us more than others. It has a feeling. It has a feeling of longing. It has a feeling of wanting. It has a feeling of not having enough. That's the feeling of the wish fulfilled of broke. So, what does the feeling of the wish fulfilled of wealthy feels like? Security. You feel secure. You feel safe. You feel relief. That is the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It will always accompany what you hold to be true. So today, as we go through this weekend, yeah, this is why you don't ask yourself, well, what do I want? Now, what do I want to become? That's the simpler way of doing it. Because when you say, I want to become that, I want to become rich, I want to become wealthy, I want to become booed up, shacked up, you know what I'm saying. When you start to talk about it, you want to become booed up and shacked up. What's that feel like? It'll feel one of two ways. Man, there ain't no good men in the world. There's no good women left. Ain't no submissive women in the world. They always want to tell you what they doing. They independent. Oh, you just bossy men, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you see that feeling? That's the feeling of the wish fulfilled. That's what you wish because it's what you hold to be true. That is what you hold to be true. But if you say, "Ooh, I want to be booed up. I want to be, shacked up in a relationship." Oh, and I will say, "Tell me more. What kind of relationship?" When you start thinking about love of my life, right? When you start thinking about that, mhm, you get a feeling, don't you? Girl, he is so dreamy. He brings me flowers and chocolate. He rubs my feet. I cook for him. We talk. I'm his sous chef. Well, he my sous chef. We laugh all the time. And we run our ideas by one another. That feeling right there that you get when you think about that person, because you just put yourself in a mood of boot up, of relationship. You just put yourself in the mood for that. And so when you put yourself in a mood, if you persist in the mood is always going to be accompanied by a feeling. It is how you know that you're on track. Because we don't ever contradict ourselves, oh, Angela, that's not true. We don't contradict ourselves. Nope. We are always in alignment. Always. When you start to feel like, how come I can't get what I want? You are in contradiction. And you can't be in contradiction. Well, I don't understand, Angela. What do you mean? If you're sitting here this morning and you're thinking to yourself, man, I try so hard and I never get ahead. I never get what I want. You are speaking truth to yourself because you're saying, I never get it. And you have all of the supporting evidence of it because you look into your life and you see that you never get it. But what you're not putting together is that you always get that which you hold to be true. The evidence on the outside is only there as a result of what you hold to be true on the inside. So you're trying to tell me that I'm bringing this about in my life? Oh, please. Signing off. I don't want to hear that. Sayonara, dude. Because you might not want to hear it, doesn't make it any less true. And I'm not saying it to agitate you. Listen, you see the feeling of agitation you're getting right now? The feeling of agitation is there because you feel you can't accomplish. But what did we learn from the lecture last night? Use your goal of accomplishing something as a tool to sharpen your skill. Your skill of what? Putting yourself in the mood that you want to be in and allowing the feeling that occurs to show you what you believe. If you're my dad, he says, hey, money doesn't grow on trees. What am I, Onassis? He holds that to be true. He says, you got to work real hard for money. You got to work real hard for everything you've got. That is what he holds to be true. And he stands 10 toes down in it. And he says it with his whole chest. So if I say to him, man, somebody just came up to me and gave me $10,000. Yeah, what did you do? How'd they just come out of nowhere and give it to you? He cannot grasp it because it goes against what he believes to be true. So if you think that nobody can come up to you and give you $10,000 and just say, I was just thinking of you and I just wanted you to have this, you give him the side eye. Why? What I gotta do in return for this? See that mistrust right there? I keep telling you, what you hold to be true, what you believe to be true, has an accompanying feeling attached. That's why you try to be far-fetched. You're like, man, that's so crazy, it just might work. Things that seem far-fetched to you, you believe they're far-fetched. So they give you that feeling of, that's just crazy. But for the person who imagines nothing is far-fetched, they say, oh, the more far-fetched, bring it. I'm going to show you what my skill is. And what is their skill? They believe within themselves that all things are possible. So it doesn't matter what may come their way. They think a solution is always possible. You know what? There are people in your life like that who just seem to know what to do because of their root belief, concept of self. They are not forcing it. They're not saying affirmations mindlessly. They just hold a certain thing to be true. They just hold a certain thing to be true. And what they hold to be true confirms itself in the way they feel. So the feeling only confirms what you hold to be true. If you say, man, today, Angela, I really need a job. I really need a job. And then you start telling me, but look at the market. Nobody's hiring right now. AI is taking over everything. There aren't any jobs out there. I don't want to be no plumber. I don't want to be no electrician. I don't want to be none of those things. But I need a job. What am I supposed to do? Ain't nobody hiring. You believe that to be true because you are relying on your eyes and your ears. Because you heard it through the grapevine, right? You heard it, that life is hard and there's no jobs out there. And you got to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody else. So you believe that to be true. So if I say to you, listen, there is a job out there for you. Yeah, where it is, I don't see it. Exactly. You don't see it. But if you call it, it comes. Angela, it's not like my dog. Here, Diesel. No, it's not like my dog. Shoot, my dog doesn't even come when I call him. Right? It's not, that's not what you're doing. How do you call the job? You call the job by knowing that whatever you require for your existence is there for you, and you don't have to fight for it. By knowing that. So that when you rehearse in imagination what you would experience in reality, which is, oh, well, welcome to the company. And you sign. And you get your signing bonus if that's what you want. You begin to hear the voice of your supervisor telling you, wow, what a good job. I'm glad we hired you. You begin to hear that. Because that's exactly what would happen, right? That's exactly what would happen. Neville says you begin to see yourself in the office that you want to be in. You're not hoping that you be in that office. You are knowing the inevitability of you being in that office. So it is always going to be the knowing that generates the feeling. Man, I know he's a jerk. And you get mad, don't you? Because the feeling is generated by what you hold to be true. So when Neville says, for every single book he's written, every single lecture he says, get into the feeling of the wish fulfilled. He is telling you, you have feelings, but those feelings are showing you what you hold to be true. So if you think, man, my own family don't love me, how is some stranger gonna love me? How am I supposed to meet this person if nobody cares about me? You feel uncared for because that's what you're telling yourself based upon previous evidence from your memories. And anytime you pull from the memory, you recreate what you've already experienced. But when you now get into the imagination with, as he calls it, flights of fancy. But when I say flights of fancy, you tell me, Angela, I get delirious. Whatever you're near. Yeah? Right? That's what you tell me, I'm delirious. You tell me I'm delusional. But you know why you say that? Because there is security in what you know. Listen to it, and I'm going to say it again. There is security in what you know. Well, your memories are secure. Hmm? That's why we draw from them, because they give us that security, this thing that we know. But when you have to go forward now and become bold, oh, there's an insecurity. This is why you don't believe or hold to be true that there is exactly a job for you regardless of what the market says. That's why you don't do it. Because you don't believe in it. You get the feeling of, this heifer is crazy. What time it is and this nonsense she talking here. That is what you hold to be true. So it comes up in direct conflict. So how do you get to something that is true then? You rehearse in imagination what you would experience in reality if it were true. So are you not forming a new memory? Of course you are, because it is secure for us to pull from the memory. That's why you rehearse in imagination what you would experience in reality. And listen, last night as I was reading that lecture, when the man said, "Oh, why, thank you," and he heard the other man say, it was a pleasure doing business with you. Oh shoot, I was about to say it was a business doing pleasure with you. Oh, Angela, Freudian slip perhaps. But you'll remember it, won't you? But he heard himself say, "Why, thank you." And then he heard, "It was a pleasure doing business with you." And he rehearsed that over and over and over again, because that is exactly what he would have done in reality if he had gotten what he wanted. So he said, fine, let that phrase imply that I got what I wanted. Let it imply, not let me hope for, let it imply. We always make implications. We always do. We speculate a lot as well. Look at us. We're speculating whether the Canadian dollar will fall when Trump gets into office. I'm like, we're speculating. That's what we're going to speculate. You see what we're doing? And we have conversations based on it. Shoot. And we argue. And we argue based upon what could happen. But where is the argument for what can happen in the other direction? Ah, please. He crazy. Why? Because of 4 years ago? 8 years ago? You're drawing from that memory from way back then because, well, a leopard never changes his spots. And we will defend it 10 toes down. But today I am asking you to experience or rehearse in imagination what you would experience in reality. And you say, well, Angela, that would never happen. But we don't know that the dollar will fall or rise. We're just speculating. So why can't you speculate better for yourself? We can speculate the worst case scenarios. Shoot, we so good at that. But when somebody asks you to speculate for your best, that there is something out there for you to do, to become, there is a job, there's a career, there's a business. I don't have no money to start no business. I don't know nobody that's hiring right now. You see what we do? All we ever do is speculate. And the feeling that comes with that speculation is what you hold to be true. Day in and day out, it is what you hold to be true. Why? Because you're looking back. Didn't we learn about somebody who looked back? Allegedly, she became a pillar of salt. Allegedly. But do you understand what that means? When we look back, we remain as we are. Statuesque, if you will. Pillar-like, if you will. Because we are looking back. And when you look back, you remain frozen right there in that time. Because it is the longing of, but that is what I know. That is what I know. So then you remain frozen in what you know and you continually do what you know. But to set yourself free, look forward. Because listen, either way, we're going to become a pillar. But you got to choose what kind of pillar you want to become. The nature of man is to reminisce, to go back into the memories. Well, then generate a memory that you can tolerate being in. But not just mere tolerate, thrive. And that's where feelings come from. That's where knowing comes from. And that is what we use with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. There's nothing to force. There isn't anything to force. We never have to force it. Because when you remember it, you relive it. That's how we live. That is our nature. Remember, relive. So recreate so that you can remember and relive. Oh, because one of them, you are in control. The other, you're just being pulled along by it. Blindly, might I add. So you're always being encouraged to never do things blindly. Do them deliberately. So what memory would you like to make? What memory would you like to make? Well, what is that thing that you would be doing naturally anyway? Use that as your impetus, inspiration. Use that as your inspiration to create your speculated scene, your speculative scene. Use that, because we're always making scenes in our mind's eye, all day, every day. But we make the scene based upon what we know to be true. That's why we do it. But an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. The more you believe it, the more true it becomes. So the reason why you don't have to force yourself, when you experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality, you don't have to force that, because you would naturally be doing it. So then wouldn't you do it? Then it makes it easier to imagine, doesn't it? Because you'd be doing it. Yesterday in the office, somebody said, ow. And I was like, oh, what's the matter? And I said, okay, well, may I touch you? They said, sure. They didn't even hesitate. And so I did what I did. And they were like, oh my God, how do you know how to do that? It feels better already. I'm not going to tell you anything more after that. I got to keep that part to myself for now. I got to keep that part to myself for now. But let me just tell you, because of that conversation, the scene that I needed to create came right out of it, because that is exactly what I do right here, right now. And listen, the feeling that accompanied the fact that I know what I know that I know. It rose up like a tidal wave in my bosom. And I said to myself, yeah, bitch, because you know what you know. You know. And right now, it's right there again. And so all I am simply doing is that scene. That's all I'm playing now, is that scene. Because I know that scene to be true. So that for me is doing what? Living from it. The state of the wish fulfilled. Because that is what I know to be true. And I didn't have to force that. It just came. And listen, it has showed itself. Now, this is the third time. Third. So I said, fine. And Georgina, hello. I see you. I love your name. Georgina. It's lovely. But that's what I'm saying to you this morning. Things happen naturally. What would you naturally say if you were whatever that is you said you want to become? There's something you would naturally do. That's where you create the scene from, that you will use as your speculation. Because as within, so without. You see, we keep asking, why is the world in the state that it's in? We keep asking that question because we keep speculating. We do. Oh my God, what are we going to do? Listen, allegedly, back in the whatever, you know, COVID, uh, allegedly, there was a forum and there was a simple question asked. What would the world behave like if we shut it down? That was the question that was asked. That was the question. That was using the principles right there. What would it be like if? But that's the question we always ask. What would it be like if? That is use of the law. Was it loving use of the law? No, but it was use of the law nonetheless. They were using the law. Now remember what happens when you plant a seed. Huh? When you plant a seed, it grows. As long as the soil is fertile, it grows. Shoot, listen, it will always find fertile soil. That dandelion coming up through the pavement, always find fertile soil. Anyway, I digress. But the question that was asked, what would it be like if? And so they got the idea because they asked a question. Every cause has its effect, and every effect its cause. So if the effect is shut it down, that's the effect. Well, then the cause will emerge. It comes up as an idea. And it came up as an idea, however nefarious the idea was. I want you to see the beauty in the principles. Don't look at the good, bad, or indifferent, because principles don't care who uses them or how they are used. Sorry, I can't take that back. The principles do not care how they are used. Oh, the principles have feelings? They're people? No. They're principles. You plant, you reap. It doesn't care what you plant. Just plant something and it will grow. If you remember that, you will understand why the world is in the state that it is. Because somebody said out into the mass of this world, what would it be like if? And out of that question was birthed something. But you see, we as people think to ourselves, I'm not powerful enough to do that. What do you mean you're not powerful enough to do that? You don't listen. The moon is right there right now. I could be dancing naked in the moonlight. That's not going to make it happen. No ritual will make it happen. It is in the belief. And how do you get somebody to believe something? Well, scripture says faith comes by hearing. So you keep saying it and showing it over and over and over, quite like I do every day with you. Ah, you see? That is how the principles work. So then what happens? Remember when Neville Goddard says if 10,000 people are required to bring about the fulfillment of that desire, they will come. They won't know why they're coming there, but they will come and they will help you. What does that mean? It means you get into the mood, the cause, and the effect emerges regardless. You don't have to force it. So that's what happened. Do you know why the world shut down? Because we stopped moving. We were convinced to stop moving. So when you hear, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against what now? Powers and principalities in high places. You think it's talking just about reptilians? No. Because once a thing gets a hold of you mentally, you are it until you decide to mentally change. So nothing is happening physically other than what was created mentally. How do you think they got into your mind? They got into your mind to convince you, whether by image or words. 2 meters, social distancing, right? So, what I am saying to you today is you do it every day. But the difference now is not to follow blindly by way of the senses, but to become imaginative deliberately. What would it be like if? And there's a feeling that comes up with you when you do it. Naturally, it emerges. You don't ever have to force. So, the same way we could think of the worst case scenarios, why is it so challenging to think of the best case scenario? So, this is how you test yourself. Sharpen your skill by doing what? Imagining the best case scenarios. Why? Because clearly, when you imagine the worst case scenario, it happens. So then, if that happens, do we not know that if we imagine the best case scenario, well, then they happen? Remember, the soil does not care what seed you plant. So long as you plant a seed, it'll grow. So what seed are you planting in your mind today? And how do you plant seeds? By imagining. So once you get a hold of that and that becomes true to you, that whatever you plant within is what you will reap on the outside, you hold fast to that. Do you think you can't look at a mountain? Now, I'm not saying Timbuktu or Kilimanjaro. I'm talking about the mountainous experiences we have in our lives. You think if you say to that, move and fall into the sea, that it will not? This is what I'm trying to convey, not just to you, myself. Because I have to live it as well. We're all bound by the same, I not necessarily like saying the word bound, but it is true. You're bound, but you're free. Seems paradoxical. How are you bound? You're bound because whatsoever you plant, you reap. That's how you're bound, but you are free to plant whatsoever you will deliberately. So are you bound or are you free? You are both. Because the principles are there, but they don't bind you in a chokehold. No, they don't. They bind you with security. That is how the principles bind, by securing you. They are your security because they tell you what you plant, you reap. You can't be more secure than that. And you already are secure in it because when you plant watermelon, you do a dance and you go, ooh, I'm going to get some watermelon in the summer. Ow. And you are excited by it. So today, when I get that feeling, what are you going to plant? I just heard 3P in the back of my head. I can't even say it. What are you going to plant? After I sang that little ditty, what are you gonna plant? Oh Lord, we all know what gets planted when we hear that song, but you know how it is, right? So today, it is the knowing. What you know to be true is what you experience. And if you know that as I plant, that shall I reap, well, then you better start choosing wiser, Angela. Choose better seeds. And what are those seeds? According to scripture, whatever is true, whatever is honest, whatever is of good report, think on these things. Those are the seeds. Oh, but Angela, I don't believe in the Bible. I didn't ask you what you believe for the Bible or not. I'm showing you where the principles are so you can apply them from anywhere in the world. You could pick up the Quran, you could pick up the Torah, you could pick up whatever you want to pick up. As long as you know where the law is, you will be just fine. The law doesn't ask one to believe, the law asks one to know by way of experience. Because then that's what brings about the belief, right? Listen, I trust that that made some semblance of sense to you today. Because I know I'm a little bit fired up, which is good because it's minus 19 degrees Celsius outside with the wind chill. Minus 19. So one of us is going to get warm some way or the other today. Indeed. Indeed. So today, my beautiful friends, what are you going to plant? There are no hindrances in our lives other than those that we create in our minds for ourselves. But to set your mind, folks said it, free your mind and the rest will follow. That was principle. As within, so without. The principle of correspondence. They were singing it. I wonder if they knew. So the next time you sing that little phrase, free your mind and the rest will follow, you better know what you just said. You better know that you said, "Ooh, what seed am I planting in my mind today? Because I know I'll reap it." So what seed do you want to plant? Your brand new job? Your brand new car? Your house? Your relationship? What? You always choose the type of seed, because each watermelon has its own. You get a yellow flesh watermelon, you get a red watermelon, you get a big watermelon, you get a mini watermelon. Oh, so you choose the seed according to what you want to harvest. So what type of relationship seed do you want to plant? Meaning, when I see you across the room, my heart goes pitter patter, pitter patter. Is that what it is? Or plant the seed. Plant the seed. Lord have mercy, plant the seed. But choose the type of seed. The type of seed. The type of job. How does it make you feel to be in that type of job? The kind of pay. That's the kind of seed. And you see it in your mind's eye and you feel it in your bosom. And you say, as within, so without. I call those things that are not as though they were, and they become. That is what we do around here. So no more of this, but Angela, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I can believe that, Angela. You don't even know my life. It's been too hard. I had to fight, Angela. That's the seed you're presently planting. But you know why we hold on to it? Because it feels good. Oh, how does it feel good when I feel so bad? Because it is secure. That's what makes it feel good. There's a level of security in it. But to catch bigger fish, deeper waters are required, as per Neville Goddard. Which means you have to reach forward for those flights of fancy, for the intrigue to say, oh, what would it be like if? Not, what did I always do? But what would it be like if? Listen, I'm looking at the clock. Let me stop. Let me welcome everybody, because fan base, you know, we spend a little bit of time together when I'm making my tea. But who's here? Well, Twitter is as Twitter does every day. The replay gang. YouTube, Georgina was here. BMM was here. Shea Butter is here. Oh. And that's on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Who's here on Fanbase? Oh, Fanbase has a bunch of people in it today. Hello, Mike. Oh my God, my glasses. Asura is here. Cody, hello. Cody's here. There's a name I don't know. Um, I am, that's all I can see. But what a good name, I am. And then Oracle Tree House, Flo Smiles, Moon, Ray Ray, Dolphin Duck, Moon. I know how I forgot Dolphin Duck. And as always, the lovely Miss McQueen. Let me get the chime. You won't get chicken this morning because, well, if you're on Fanbase, you'll hear him when I go get him. But when you hear the chime this morning, I'll bring you guys up in a minute. When you hear the chime this morning, just breathe and know that you are already living the way you need to be living. You are already living the way you should be living. Why is that? Because we can only live by principle. But the difference is now you will become deliberate in how you live, or as the rest of the world would say, intentional. You don't just become intentional about the thing you want, you become intentional about life and existence itself. Because things are only part of the puzzle, but there's a whole picture which is life to build. Let me get the chime, y'all. Let me get the chime. Flo Smiles. I sent you a DM, Flo Smiles. Let me get the chime. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Much love to each and every one of you today here on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, fan base. Yes. I'll see you tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you want to fall asleep with us in the state of the wish fulfilled. You know it's Friday night. You know how we roll around here. You don't got to go to sleep, but as long as you are relaxed when you're doing something, you're good. Twitter, I will close you. I need some help with my. There you go. Thank you, Oracle Treehouse.
You're welcome. No problem. Grand Rising, by the way.
Grand rising to you as well.